Hey guys, King of Charmander is here. Alright, so here's Open Ultra League's training analysis. As you see here, this data feature is going to feature the top performers as well as the top teams. And it was just recently updated. Make sure you consider donating to our Lord and Savior, pvpoke.com. Anyways, this one isn't going to be as long as the Ultra Premier analysis, simply because most of you don't really care about Open as much as Ultra Premier. So I'm not going to go too in-depth on Open Ultra. The good thing about Open Ultra is that well, actually, it looks like Legendaries aren't as oppressive or as popularly used as other things. As you see in the top performers, XL Talonflame is being used like a monster. Why? It's because it's the most powerful lead in the game. In the Open Ultra Premier, it's insanely powerful and does really, really well in Open Ultra League as an XL. Umbreon XL also has taken the reins. As you see here, it's also extremely powerful. I faced a lot of Umbreon XLs, and Shadow Machamp is taking rise because of its ability to take down Umbreon, Obstagoon. Shadow Champ actually basically beats everything on this, can beat everything on, as you see here, like, except Charizard. So, yeah. As you see, a lot of people, some people are using Talonflame, some people are using other things, etc. But Talonflame and other XLs are taking their rise in Open Ultra League as well as Ultra Premier. So, Open Ultra League isn't primarily dominated by Legendaries anymore. Legendaries are oppressive, which is why Cresselia still does very, very well, as well as Giratina Altered. So, Legendaries are still extremely powerful. But without further ado, as you see here, here are the top teams. Again, I'll be reviewing the top 5 teams for this one. Unlike Ultra Premier, I'll just be reviewing this one as far as regular ones, because some of these teams actually don't have an XL variation with them, which is really good. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so team number 5 features Shadow Champ, Shadow Abomasnow, and Shadow Snorlax. So it's a triple Shadow team. I'm gonna assume that this is an XL Shadow Abomasnow. Usually they are, so XL Shadow Abomasnow. As you see, Mega XL, we're just gonna assume like average IVs. But Shadow Abomasnow is really strong in Open Ultra League, so I'm not surprised that it's being used or for training sims, or it's the number 5 team statistically. So as you see here, here's before. Already consistent. If you add in the XL, the bulk should go up. Yes, it does. So bulk goes up. It's extremely consistent because this team does a lot of damage. Shadows, the added Shadow bonus plus Machamp and Shadow Obama's just pressure, it's going to do a lot of damage over time. Now, the reason why the bulk is still a D, even though you have Snorlax in here, Shadow Snorlax does lose its bulk capability. However, I don't think the bulks really need that much. This team will beat the unholy crud out of you if you do not use it. If you lose the lead against it, this team is going to beat the unholy hell out of you. Anyways, as you see here, this team is very consistent, as I mentioned, just because of the amount of pressure. It has dependable damage output. It's going to do a lot of damage. Now, this team will suffer a little bit from Cresselia or just like Giratina leads, as you see here. Shadow Champ is not a fantastic... Shadow Champ's really good against the Steel-type archetype, and it can also bully its way through Articuno. So, Shadow Champ does really well, given that you don't see a well, you very rarely see a Venusaur lead in Open Ultra unless someone's, like, accidentally goes in here. However, Shadow Champ does really well against the XL archetype. Even against Talonflame, you can put a lot of pressure on a Talonflame user because Shadow Rock Slide does a ton of damage and will likely KO. So, keep in mind that Shadow Machamp is a pretty beastly mon if you play it well. Can also one-shot Articuno with a Rock Slide, so it's very, very dangerous. As you see here, your worst nightmare is going to be Cresselia. Swampert also gives you a hard time just because its ability to do damage against Shadow Champ. Yes, you can cross-chop your way to victory. However, Hydrocan just does so much damage over time, that's going to really destroy you, so just be careful. Also, Armored Mewtwo is a problem for you as well. Cresselia lead is still very popular. I face a lot of Cresselia leads because I mainly dabble in Open Ultra, so just be a little careful and be mindful that it's out there. As far as your potential threats go, as I mentioned, it's going to be Armored Mewtwo, Confusion users, and Articuno. The reason being is because Articuno doesn't necessarily resist... Articuno doesn't resist it, but it can debuff Shadow Champ, so there's a lot of ways to play out of it. So, Articuno's still a little dangerous. Armored Mewtwo is probably going to be your worst nightmare, which you don't actually see a lot, along with Talonflame. However, you can still pressure Talonflame and Articuno users, so don't worry about that too much. But as you see here, it's very, very powerful. This team does very, very well, and its threat score is 692. So it's high. Well, anything, in Open Ultra, threat scores are still very high. However, this team is basically, your safe switch is going to be Shadow Snorlax, and then Obama Snow is a fantastic closer, given they don't have a Talonflame in the back. And even if they have a Talonflame in the back, again, Shadow Machamp can finish it with Rock Slide. So this team is very powerful, and with the Shadow damage, it can bully its way through for a lot of W. Team number 4 is actually really interesting. This team features Cresselia, Charizard Lead, Cresselia, and Snorlax. Now, Dragon Breath Charizard is interesting. As you see here, it's a Dragon Breath Blast Burns Charizard, so you're going to need to use an Elite TM for it. However, Dragon Breath Blast Burn Charizard is really, really strong. With Dragon Breath, you are able to take out basically Giratina. Oh, you can take out Giratina altered in the one shield, so it's pretty nuts how strong Charizard is. Charizard also has the potential to resist both of Cresselia's charge moves if you have a Cresselia with Grass Knot and Moonblast, as you see here, which happens to be your safe switch as well. You could do both. As you see, I think Snorlax is your safe switch, but Cresselia can be as well. This Snorlax is actually rocking Earthquake, which is actually really interesting. With the Earthquake, you actually can take out Steel types, so that's why Snorlax with Earthquake is so good. Earthquake is good. That's why. So you have 2 coverages against Steel typings, which is why Cresselia is kind of safe. Cresselia covers Charizard because it has Grass Knot to cover Lapras and Swampert, and Snorlax is a great generalist. And you prevent fighters because you have Cresselia and Charizard, and yeah, so it's very powerful. This team's pretty dang good. Low barrier to entry as well, as long as you have a Cresselia, but this team does not feature any XLs, which is really good. As you see here, this team has Bs across the board. Very, very good. Very general. Very good team. Very general across the board. Again, this is probably the lowest barrier of entry as far as teams go for Open Ultra League. I think it's really powerful, and I really like Dragon Breath Charizard, having tested it myself. And as you see here, it does really well against the entire meta. Now, Ho-Oh's been essentially taken out as the Fire Flyer because of Talonflame XL. So your only really thing that beats things in a ones is Ho-Oh, and you don't really have to worry about it that much. But as you see, as I mentioned, great coverage. Yes, Charizard can beat Registeel with Dragon Breath. That's how powerful Dragon Breath is, and even though Registeel does resist it, you also resist both Focus Blast and Flash Cannon. So it does really well. As you see here, this team is really strong. Minus the fact that you see Swampert lead, but you still have Cresselia and Snorlax again. So it's very, very strong, does really well against a lot of meta. The great thing about Charizard, yes, in the one shield you could be Gear A and you could be Gear O, so it's very, very strong as a lead. You can also bully your way through Alolan Muck, etc. That's just how give Dragon Breath to a high attack Pokemon like Charizard, and it's going to do really well. Charizard will also win CMP against the majority of things in Open Ultra League. So it's really, really good. Minus the fact that you see Melmetal leads. As you see here, Ho is probably going to be your biggest threat along with Melmetal. Melmetal is going to give you a really, really hard time. Melmetal effectively resists your Charizard, and it also gives Cresselia a hard time. Fun fact, you can beat Melmetal in the zeros with Cresselia, however, it's an IV dependent matchup. So you can go straight Grass Knot with Cresselia to take back switch against Melmetal. But it has to be a good IV Cresselia. You should know. I should know. I use Cresselia a lot, so that's why. But you can beat Melmetal as a switch again if you use straight Grass Knot in the zeros. But Melmetal is going to be your biggest threat, which is actually pretty dang good considering what a lot of the meta consists of nowadays. As you see here, Swampert is also going to be a big problem. Swampert's very popular. Swampert will give you a hard time with Charizard even with Dragon Breath because it just gets a Hydro Cannon so quickly. That's why you have Cresselia and Snorlax. Cresselia and Snorlax, his job is to take out the Swampert, and then you can use Charizard and hopefully clean up whatever's in the back. But again, Water Lead are basically Melmetal is your only weakness. Because of that, this team actually does pretty well. As you see here, Lapras is going to be your biggest problem, along with Empoleon. So Lapras, Empoleon, water types in general. So water and Melmetal is going to be your biggest issue. Water is still, I would say water, or seeing water types is like half and half. So it's basically pick or poison. But I can say this is a really, really good team. Probably the lower threat score versus a lot of other things inside Open Ultra as far as the top 5 team goes. But this team will do, I can see this team does really well, and it will serve you well if you play well in Open Ultra League. Again, Cresselia, Snorlax, I think Snorlax is your main safe switch, but however, you can use Cresselia as a safe switch as well, and then you just realign and you play out. Charizard is there to sweep, or Charizard wins lead, and Dragon Breath and Blast Burn things to oblivion. Team number 3 is really interesting. As you see, it features a Mew lead with a Shadow Lapras. Man, it's getting spicy up in these parts. Anyways, Mew lead is a very interesting lead. With Flame Charge, you threaten Obama's no leads very hard, as well as Articuno's. With the Shadow Claw damage, you can do a lot of, you could do a lot with Mew in Open Ultra. That's why it has Dark Pulse, because with Dark Pulse, you can cover Giratina, you also cover Cresselia. So there's a lot of things you can do with Mew. Mew's a very dangerous Pokemon in Open Ultra League. However, a lot of you actually don't have a Mew for Open Ultra. I don't have one, mine is in Great League. And yeah, only if you didn't have that Mew glitch, which was a while ago, where you could get 2 Mews, you're kind of stuck with 1. Anyways, this team is very, very not that bulky. I can already predict the bulk is not going to be that high, just because it's a Shadow Lapras. It's also a double Legacy Shadow Lapras, so you're going to have to use 2 Elite TMs if you want to build that Shadow Lapras. And you have Surfetched in the back, with no nuke moves, just Leap Blade and Night Slash. As you see here, like I predicted, this team doesn't have an insane amount of bulk. It's just here to do a lot of damage. Not very safe either, or with a lot of coverage, just because of the fact that if you switch, like Shadow Lapras can still get punched down by Machamps in the back, and because of the lack of bulk, it can be a little dangerous to win a Shadow Lapras. However, it's still very bulky, very powerful, and can still do really well in Open Ultra League. You won't have a problem with damage. All 3 of these mons, especially Surfetch and Mew, will do a dependable amount of damage. As you see here, like I mentioned, Giratina Altered is probably why you cover Mew with Dark Pulse. However, this is a 2-shield scenario, so even in the 2-shield, Giratina is quite bulky. Mew does not get stabbed when it uses Shadow Claw, so if you face a Shadow Claw Giratina, it's going to suck a little bit. Also, without things like Grass Knot, Swampert and Articuno can give you, it won't give you a hard time per se. There's a reason why you have Flame Charge / Dark Pulse. However, without Grass Knot, you can't KO Swampert, and in Ultra League, Swampert's a lot bulkier than it is in Great League. So it's a little bit of a, like, be a little careful. I don't see a lot of Gengar leads. I've seen some as well as Amok leads, so Mew's gonna have to avoid that. If you lose lead with this, you just safe switch into Slappers and then realign. That's why you have Surfetched. However, the thing about Surfetch against Gengar, Surfetch doesn't do well against Gengar. Same thing with Venusaur. I've seen a few Venusaurs in the back to cover Swampert, and Venusaur does really well against this line. Even though you have Flame Charge, because you don't get stabbed, and Venusaur is a lot more powerful in Open Ultra League, you're going to have a little bit of an issue. As you see here, Meganium also gives you, basically Grass types. Grass types in general will give you a hard time. That sounds weird, even though Mew does have Flame Charge. However, because Grass will do super effective damage against Lapras, and Surfetched has a hard time. That's why you have Night Slash. You might want to think about running Burb. However, as the number 4 most powerful line in Open Ultra League, that moveset is there for a reason. This team is built to put a lot of pressure. And Grass types aren't super popular in Open Ultra League just because of Giratina's existence and Cresselia. Well, some people have been using Venusaur, like I said, in the back. I've seen it in Open Ultra League, so that's why Venusaur is your biggest threat. Same thing with Gengar. The top 2 are your biggest threats. I don't foresee a Meganium or Gengar coming around, but definitely you will see a lot of problems. The top 2 are what you will likely see. Giratina Altered can also give you an issue just because Surfetch doesn't have a strong matchup. Even if you do have Night Slash, Giratina is very bulky. Charmers and Confusion users like Mewtwo can also give you a little bit of an issue. That's why Clefable does give you, because Clefable can 2-shield its way through Mew. Same thing with, yeah, Clefable can 2-shield its way through Mew, so just be very careful. Again, just safe switch into Lapras and then go into Surfetch, but because you don't see a lot of Venusaurs or Gengars in Open Ultra League, I can see why this team does so well. So, the second most powerful team in Open Ultra League happens to be, man, these triple XL teams are so freaking good. Okay, so as you see here, this is the coverage without it. Here's what happens when we do. So, these are all XLs. I can totally tell this is a triple XL team. Anything that has an Umbreon on it is a triple XL team. Again, the reason why you don't see it in the rank, or like see it like the way it's formed right here, is because usually they'll do what I do. You just input, go to level 50 and maximize, because most of the time you're going to need perfects. Like, this team basically needs all perfects. You need a perfect Charmer, you need a perfect Talonflame, and you need a perfect Umbreon. This team is stupid expensive. Also, probably a lot of you don't have the ability to get a Skarmory XL. Talonflame, well, yeah. So, yeah. If you have a Skarmory XL, dang, that's pretty cool, but dang, man. That just shows you how oppressive XL Pokemon can be. And just how, once you turn something in XL, how the coverage and everything else just turns insane. Bink, right there. As you see here, a lot of things, just with, like, turning this all into XL Pokemon, the coverage and bulk is insane. This team is insanely bulky. This team will destroy the crap out of Cresselias, which a lot of people are using in Open Ultra. That's why it's so powerful. In fact, this team is kill Cresselia. No, literally, this team is literally like, hey, kill Cresselia. And it's pretty dang good. But with the bulk and consistency, it doesn't, like, even though it doesn't have a lot of coverage against a lot of threats, its bulk and safety and consistency make up for it, especially the bulk. As you see here, this team is insanely powerful. You won't see a Regirock running around. You likely will not. I've seen one. I've seen one. Like, in season 5 through 7, in my entire time playing Go Battle League, I've seen, like, two Regirock. So, your odds of using an Ultra League Regirock are probably going to be very null. As you see here, this team does very, very well. However, Registeel does go... Registeel and... I would say, yeah, Registeel does give you a huge problem just because that's Focus Blast. Same thing with Melmetal. Melmetal can give you a little bit of an issue as well. Machamp Lead also sucks because Machamp Lead is going to give you an issue. I'm guessing Talonflame and Skarmory are either one of your safe switches. Guessing Skarmory is a safe switch here. And then you realign with Talonflame. Talonflame with shields and with energy can do really well in this meta. As you see here, this team is biggest losses are Lapras, Magnezone, and Melmetal. Well, water types in general, I can see why, but I don't. I'm guessing it's just because of Talonflame XL. So as you see here, you won't see Registeel. Regirock, you likely won't see a Raikou. You can see Lapras, however, Lapras still has a little bit of a hard time playing the bait game with Umbreon just because Umbreon's so bulky. Same thing with Empoleon. Empoleon, even though Empoleon doesn't have a lot of bulk, so like I said, in the 2-shield, it can be really rough. So I can see why this team's built this way. You likely won't see a lot of electric types like Ampharos in Open Ultra League, so you don't have to worry about it that much. But like I said, Melmetal, Registeel, Empoleon, and Lapras are probably going to be your biggest threats. Other than that, this team does very, very well, and unless you see a fighter lead, like a fighter lead will also give you a problem as well. So Machamp, and as you see Surfetch here, can give you an issue because of Umbreon. So if you lose the lead against Umbreon, safe switch into Skarmory or Talonflame, and then go accordingly. I'm thinking Skarmory is your safe switch over here, but I'm not too sure. So I'm guessing Skarmory. But either way, Triple XL is very, very powerful. As you see here, this team has a 694 threat score, which is still pretty high. But like I said, your top weaknesses are stuff you likely won't see in Open Ultra League. Now, the most powerful team in Open Ultra League for Season 7 Part 2 happens to be... Actually, it's really... I wouldn't say... Yeah, it's pretty basic. Obstagoon lead. Cross Chop and Night Slash. Cross Chop to cover those steel typings. Cresselia with Future Sight, so it doesn't have Moonblast. Future Sight is to cover those Talonflames, because if a Talonflame needs a Future Sight, it's gonna do like half health, so it does a lot of damage. And you have Gengar as a closer. It's a Shadow Ball, Shadow Punch Gengar. So this is it's going for the big ball. It's gonna ball out. It's big nukes, big nuke. Well, technically Focus Blast is the big blasted, but like, you know, there's nothing wrong with balling out. If you ball out Giratina, well, it's for Giratina I can see, because Shadow Ball will pretty much one-shot a Giratina as a range, at big ranges. As you see here, great general team. I like it a lot at first glance. Bees across the board, but that's not necessarily bad. Bees is really good, considering the meta. As you see here, I can already tell your biggest weakness for this team is probably going to be Cresselia. Well, not really Cresselia. I would say Cresselia and probably fighters. Like Cresselia, fighters, etc. As you see, your Obstagoon can take on Giratina Altered with Night Slash, especially if you get the boost. You boost with Obstagoon, which happened to me twice today. No, I'm not lying to you. I faced 2 Obstagoons, and their first Night Slash, they got the frickin' boost. You get the boost, guess what? You dub shield the Obstagoon unless you're in a Machamp lead matchup where you shouldn't be, because you should safe switch. And that's why you have Cresselia and Gengar as your back row. So again, your biggest weakness is probably going to be fighter leads, as well as a Cresselia, if Cresselia doesn't have Moonblast. If Cresselia doesn't have Moonblast, then you're looking pretty good, but you can blast your way through Articuno, again with Night Slash, etc., and you won't really see a lot of Regirocks as well as Venusaurs. Armor Mewtwo can give you a little bit of a hard time just because if it has Dynamic Punch, it's going to suck a lot. Along with that, Armor Mewtwo also does resist your counters and your cross chops. Yes, you will Night Slash it, however, Armor Mewtwo has a lot of bulk, so you're going to be a little careful with that. As you see, that's why you have Cresselia and Gengar, though Cresselia and Gengar cover Obstagoon really well. As you see here, unless it's a Registeel, because Registeel technically walls Cresselia, you're doing pretty well. Well, same thing with Melmetal. Melmetal can give you a hard time as well. But as you see here, Registeel does decent against his team, and so does Cresselia's itself. But as you see, you have a lot of coverage. With Gengar, you can nuke Cresselia's and you can nuke Giratina, so... As you see here, your biggest weakness is going to be Articuno. The reason being is because Articuno doesn't necessarily resist, like, well, yeah. You can Night Slash Articuno to death, and Articuno does take neutral damage from counter. That's how good counter is. Registeel is also going to give you a problem because, like, again, you can't safe switch into Cresselia. You could probably sacrifice Cresselia and then farm it out with Gengar and then clean up with Obstagoon, given they don't have a fighter in the back or if they don't realign. But, as you see here, the reason why you don't see fighters in your top threats is just because Cresselia and Gengar do so well against them. Gengar triple resists. I think triple, yeah, Ghost does, yeah, triple resists because of Poison and Ghost, so fighters don't give you too much of a hard time. Actually, you would want to see a fighter in the back, because you're like, oh, wait, this is awesome. But anyways, Obstagoon's very powerful as a lead, especially if you get the boost. As you see, there's a lot of things that can beat you. There's a lot of things you can beat in the lead if you get the boost, or if you get, or it can bully its way through using Cross Chop and Night Slash. Really good team. Obstagoon lead is very, very popular, but this team does really, really well. Again, if you've been playing Go Bally for a while, I'd say since like last year, you probably have a Cresselia. Well, yeah, since Go Bally came out, you probably have a Cresselia. This team is very general, very easy to use. If you lose lead against Obstagoon, particularly you hope it's a fighter, just switch into Cresselia. Try to do as much you can with Cresselia, and then have Gengar farm down and clean up with Gengar and close with Obstagoon, etc. It's really up to you, but this team is very, very good generalist team, and I really do approve of it. Again, your biggest problem is going to be a fighter, but you have those in the back. Excavalier can also give you a hard time, as you see here, just because of the fact that it has Mega Horn, so with Mega Horn it can take out Cresselia, and it does resist Psycho Cut, so be very careful. This team is very, very strong, or this team is very, very strong. As you see, a low threat score of 601. So pretty low threat score, very, very good. I like this team a lot, and this is the most powerful team in Open Ultra for Season 7 Part 2. Alright, as you see here, these teams are really good. As always, these teams will help you get farther. I don't think anyone is super... Well, there are players that are probably close to Legend now, but like, if you aren't there yet, this team probably will take you a little far if you're taking it easy like me, since you're trying a whole bunch of different things and you're not going super tryhard mode, so yeah. But this team will, the top 5 are very... What I don't like is XL. Yes, XL Pokemon seem to have taken over Open Ultra League, and they just do so well against a lot of picks. However, Cresselia, as you see here, is still a top pick. Giratina Altered pretty much disappeared from the face of the map as far as top teams go, just because it is so big, because Cresselia just overall is so good. Cresselia with Future Sight can take down a Talonflame, and it's just and Cresselia also does well against Swampert, where it just has so much usage, especially even against the ice meta, because that's where there is a problem with Giratina Altered, just because of the ice meta, because of Cresselia. Cresselia is really good. As you see here, not a lot of people are using the top 3 teams, so it's likely some single individual came up with the top 2. This isn't that spicy, nor is this one either, but as you see here, the top team has a very high rating, and very accessible. So this is a team you could probably try out and you'll have a lot of success with. I actually want to give it a shot now after watching this and see how and test it out and see how it does in Open Ultra League. I hope these teams do help you guys out. Again, if you do Open Ultra League, you likely will see a ton of XL Pokemon. Like, I mean, I use a double XL team, but like, this just shows you how oppressive XL Pokemon have entering the meta, and how good Talonflame is now that it's entered Go Battle League with Incinerate. It's just really nuts how this is pretty much XL League. Yeah, Ultra League is pretty much like XL League now. So it's pretty nuts just how much of an impact XL Pokemon have. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully these teams do help you climb heavier to your goals, and I hope, if you haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.
Ciao!